Even if they get the doors open, they must make sure they're properly closed before returning. And if the metal doors have expanded in the heat, they'll have to make them contract by using the thrusters to turn the spacecraft, moving the doors into the shade.
We have actually set up the whole flight around, on the first day, if we develop any significant problem, we are planning on coming in on the fifth orbit, and then on the next day we will look at the vehicle again and ascertain whether we've had any significant problems and perhaps bring it down then. So we've planned it in stages so that we can go ahead and terminate it if we don't like what's happening.
So 5 minutes and 40 into the flight. Let's try and pick Kieran up on... oh, I have some pictures. The satellite pictures are back. Let's see if we can pick up Kieran at the Cape. Kieran, what's happening?
Hello, Mike. The pictures that we saw from here live were unbelievably spectacular. The sound, and we could feel it when it took off. The whole trailer we're on started rumbling. It was a fantastic sight. By the way, the boosters should now have splashed down in the Atlantic, about 160 miles from the Cape. They'll be recovered and they can use them again, of course. We can see a plume of smoke stretching as far up in the sky as it is possible to see. It looks tremendous.
Well, thank you for that. It looks as if the problem may easily have been in one of the cameras on board the chase aircraft, because we were getting pictures from the ground there at the Cape. Let's consider then what is about to happen a couple of minutes from now. Columbia is at the moment, let's use the model, flying on the main engines in the spacecraft, fueled by the giant external tank. Now, these engines will be burning for another minute and 30 or so, and then these engines will cut out. Let's look at animation at what is likely to happen 8 minutes and 32 into the mission. The tank will have exhausted its supply of fuel, the main engines will cut, and the tank will be jettisoned into the Indian Ocean. This is the only piece of equipment on board the transportation system which won't be used again. Then, well, the launch went perfectly. In fact, things in general seem pretty good. Both astronauts are in good shape. Kripin's heart rate hit 130 on liftoff, but don't forget it's his first space flight. And the experienced John Young reported wobble at main engine cutoff. That's the moment 8 minutes and 32 seconds into the mission as the external tank is emptied and was jettisoned. But we have just received our first pictures from space, from the cameras on board Columbia, which confirm that these large payload bay doors have successfully been opened in space for the first time. These are the vital heat radiators to keep Columbia cool.
Start.
They're on their way back, but they're not home yet. This is Mission Control, and we're waiting now for confirmation that Columbia, carrying astronauts Young and Kripin, has gone into the eeriest part of her mission, the radio blackout. This is caused by the intense heat from growing air resistance as she re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Let's listen to the live sound coming from Mission Control to confirm that this important stage has been reached. One can only conclude that NASA are filling, and I as yet have no confirmation that radio blackout has been reached. When it takes place, I have confirmation that it has taken place. Columbia has silently slipped into that eerie stage in the mission, and we will all wait for some 15 minutes, which is obviously why NASA are filling with their commentary, for the end of that blackout and news that all is well with the returning spacecraft. Columbia in blackout, on her way back to Earth.
Convoy crew is putting on escape suits to protect them from any 700 feet per second. Hello, Houston, Columbia's here. Hello, Columbia, Houston's here. How do you read?
We've lost the pictures, but we've got Columbia safely back into the atmosphere.
We couldn't agree more, Tom. Your state vector's good. We've got good data in and out.
We haven't lost the pictures. They're coming up with some surprises here. They're giving us a radar screen. Columbia safely back in the atmosphere.
Perfect ground track.
She swings round high over the Central Valley of California. She'll have crossed the coastal Sierras now, well over dry land.
That's a silent spacecraft, no engines. Just a rush of air.
No one has ever seen a glider like that before.
We now have a live television picture from the long-range optics at Brighton.
You're coming right down the track. The tracking data, nav data, and pre-plan trajectory are all one line on our plot board here.
Well, the weather this California morning must be particularly good. Those are pictures no one in this end thought we'd see.
Range 42 miles.
Columbia, we show you very slightly high in altitude, coming down nicely. And
Slightly high, but dropping certainly towards the runway. Desperately trying to lose speed, I imagine. Geoffrey, we were talking about role reversal a minute or two ago. Will she still be trying to bank?
Yes, one of the techniques of a glider when you have no engines is to widen your track, and that means banking quite a bit to port and then back to starboard. And that's how you can vary the distance.
Yes. Well, there must be about 100,000 people out here all anxiously scanning the skies looking for Columbia. We've just heard a sonic boom. We expect to hear another one yet.
Well, Columbia's performing well, but Kieran isn't, or at least the links between us are not performing.
And we're seeing 1.3 G's coming around the hat. And turning on the final, your winds on the surface are calm.
Control looking very smooth. Speed bank to break at 4 o'clock. We have a television picture now.
That's one of the chase aircraft with cameras. They have several aircraft up just to look out, and of course that's now looking at an incredible shot of the shuttle.
Right on glide slope. Approaching center line, looking great.
So she's made the sweep from east of the airfield and is now making her approach, presumably in a westerly direction, Geoffrey.
15 to 20,000 feet coming in from the west.
Coming down quite steeply. We don't have...
Notice the very, very nose-down attitude. Chase aircraft underneath.
So, by our estimation, we're 2 minutes from touchdown. Things have been on schedule, or just. She approaches Dryden. At this time, it's likely that Young and Crippen will be aiming short of the runway to actually increase speed to give them control in the final stages. They do want to have plenty of lift. And don't forget, they only have one chance at this. If they raise the nose too early, they'll stall and fall short. If they raise it too late, they've missed anyway.
20 degrees nose down. Then they'll pick it up to about 3.5 degrees.
Clear.
On the final approach. Up to 3.5.
Well, there it is. They've got 5 miles
22 seconds
runway
before
ahead of them.
touchdown. The crew lower the landing gear. Very.
You're coming. You're down. 50 feet. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Touchdown. Those gears, 10 feet. Five. 4. 3. Touchdown. Look above, skipper.
Well, Geoffrey Pardoe checked his watch. Was she on schedule?
Yes.
What an amazing picture.
Oh, that's terrific.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
Can't see any tiles missing.
Oh, she seems in remarkable shape. rolling gently.
You'll have to take it up the hangar, Joe.
The return of man's first reusable spacecraft.
And the crew applied the brakes. That's one thing the computer doesn't do
I'll
either.
tell you that. It was super. Okay, convoy's on way. Convoy on. Wheel stop on the Columbia. Wheel stop.
So she's stationary. Oh, that's
See the air brake just closing at the back. The fin closing the air brake.
the big V at the back.
That's right.
So, Columbia is safely on the ground and safely waiting to talk to us, I hope, is Kieran. Can you hear us, Kieran?
Time, 2 days, 6 hours, 20 minutes.
Hello, this is Kieran from Dryden.
Kieran, go ahead. Great excitement at this end.
Hello, Mike. Well, I can't tell you how fabulous that was to see it from here. It really was tremendous. We have something like 100,000 people squatting around the desert lake bed here at Mojave, and 100,000 people started chaffing and clearing, the reporters amongst them. It really was a fabulous sight. I think if there wasn't a ban on booze here...
One day came the call from the Vice President.
Who's that, John?
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
We're just having a lot of fun up here.
Hey, listen, I'm glad to talk to both you and Crip. How's he behaving?
I'm trying to behave pretty well, Mr. Vice President.
Well, listen, it's a far way from when we were doing our running down there in the Cape, but I certainly want to congratulate you.
When we were doing the...
And wouldn't we all like to congratulate Bob Crippen and Commander John Young. Well, that's it. Columbia is safely on the ground. Thank you for being with us for this coverage of the historic mission on behalf of all of us who've been working on the Columbia program. Goodbye.
2,500 feet.
Clear? You're coming. You're down. 50 feet. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Touchdown. Those gears 10 feet. 5.
The Columbia and its crew are not all that's been retrieved. The solid rocket boosters, which provided most of the power for liftoff, have been recovered from the Atlantic and towed back to Port Canaveral. The return was shadowed by a Soviet ship, a so-called trawler, but the only fish it was looking for were the boosters, an American variety that swims between space flights. This and the return of the Columbia closed out America's most spectacular space enterprise since the moonshots. It's nearly 6 years since the Americans had a man in space, and in that time the Russians have had dozens. So on Florida's Space Coast, where the flight began, there is a...